Welcome to this explainer, based on the incredibly insightful article, How to Fill a Vendor Security Risk Assessment Questionnaire. If you've ever opened your inbox to find a massive, multi-tabbed vendor security checklist from a major prospective client, you know that immediate, sinking feeling of dread. It feels a bit like, well, receiving a corporate tax audit wrapped inside a dense IT manual, right when you're on the verge of closing a major deal. But today, we're going to completely shift your mindset. We're going to take that massive onboarding obstacle and transform it into your absolute biggest competitive edge.
Okay, let's dive into this, because staring down a 290-question spreadsheet feels like hitting a massive bureaucratic brick wall. You're a business leader. You just want to finalize the contract and get your team to work. But instead, your lucrative deal is suddenly paused while you try to decipher alien technology terms and complex IT audit requirements. The stakes are incredibly high here, and it is overwhelmingly frustrating.
Section 1. The Questionnaire Challenge.
So, the very first hurdle you face isn't even answering the technical questions. It's simply figuring out how to manage and distribute this absolute behemoth of a file without completely burning out a single person on your team. According to the experts at Atlant Security, there's a golden rule for tackling this sheer volume. Gather all stakeholders and send them the file to each of them, one by one in sequence.
We can think of this as the relay race method. Step 1, you gather everyone who might know anything about your systems. Step 2, you pass the file sequentially. And Step 3, you combine everyone's comments. Why is this absolutely crucial for your bottom line? Well, because it stops executive bottlenecking. Literally, no single person in your company has all the answers. By structuring it this way, you prevent duplicated effort and ensure that all your departments, from legal to IT to operations, review and sign off in a structured, highly collaborative process.
Section 2. Risks and Realities. Now, if you treat this like a mindless checkbox exercise just to get it done faster, it builds into real, tangible danger for your business. The client's experienced security team, they'll spot pulled from thin air answers immediately, which completely discredits your organization. But worse, every answer you give carries legal weight. If you answer yes to a security control you don't actually have, you're essentially signing a false contract, creating immense legal liability if a breach occurs. You'll also face alien terminology that requires deep research. Plus, committing to these new security controls is definitely going to cause internal team resistance. And as any leader knows, changing how people do their jobs is never easy.
Section 3. The Strategic Mindset Shift. Now, what's really interesting here is how most companies look at this process as just a bureaucratic annoyance, but you need to view it as a free security audit. Think about it. Paying a specialized consultant to analyze exactly what high-level enterprise clients want in a vendor usually costs tens of thousands of dollars. This questionnaire is handing you that exact playbook totally for free. If they ask about identity and access management, which simply means the software you use to ensure only the right people log into your systems, and you realize, hey, we don't have those controls, that is not a failure, it's a roadmap. It highlights exactly what you need to implement next to win bigger deals.
So the crucial point is how you construct your answers to stand out to these massive clients. A basic answer might just say, yes, we have two-factor authentication. But you want to demonstrate a competitive edge. Answering with, we have a bypass-resistant 2FA method, meaning you use advanced systems that actually stop hackers from simply intercepting a text message code, shows profound maturity. Digging deeper and providing practical, actual security details rather than just checking a box, that is exactly how you beat 99% of your competitors.
Section 4. Handling the hard questions. This brings us to the most anxiety-inducing part of the whole ordeal. Figuring out what to do when you simply do not have the security control they're asking for. Should you ever answer a question with no? It's a huge dilemma, right? A flat no can easily lead to misunderstandings and make you look totally unprepared. But faking a yes is infinitely worse. It's a legal and professional landmine just waiting to go off. So what's the alternative?
The solution is to use a consultative process. Step 1, answer no if you have to, but immediately move to Step 2. Ask them for clarification about how critical that specific control is. Then, Step 3, propose compensating controls. Compensating controls are basically alternative safeguards that achieve a similar risk reduction. For example, if you lack a dedicated data leakage protection software, you can explain the alternative file sharing safeguards and internal training you do have in place, and then use that to negotiate a not applicable status for that specific requirement.
And please, whatever you do, always use the notes section. Never, ever leave it blank. This is your golden opportunity to detail exactly what data you process and how you protect it.
Filling out the notes proves to your client that you actually possess practical security knowledge and aren't just blindly filling out a form.
Section 5. Navigating the EDRM.
You'll very likely encounter the notorious EDRM security audit questionnaire. For those who aren't familiar, the EDRM is a standard framework often used in legal and compliance tech. It is infamous in the industry for its incredibly confusing, half-helpful instructions, especially when it comes to its unique ranking scale of 0 to 10. The instructions leave vendors totally in the dark on how to properly calculate and apply this ranking.
So let's break down this scale clearly so you know exactly what to do. A 0 means perfect compliance. A 1 is adequate. Now, if a specific regulation, like HIPAA for medical records, doesn't apply to your business, answering with a 6 or an 8 is perfectly acceptable. This feels super counterintuitive, but it's a smart business move because it shows the auditor you actually understand your operational scope rather than just blindly answering yes to everything. Just whatever you do, don't put it 10. A 10 means you have 0 compliance, where a control is actually required, which makes you completely unacceptable.
Also, you've got to pay close attention to the formatting. If you see questions marked in yellow or red in the EDRM spreadsheet, stop. These are visual warning signs highlighting your critical regulatory priorities. You absolutely need to focus your team's energy heavily on thoroughly answering these specific colored rows.
Of course, the EDRM isn't the only framework out there. You might see other intimidating formats like CI QLite, Secure Software Development, DevSecOps, NIST 853, or the Sequest. But don't let the alphabet soup of acronyms scare you. The exact same strategic logic we've been discussing applies seamlessly to all of them.
Even on shorter forms, like the 50-question Sequest, this mindset shift is vital. Instead of giving a standard yes to having multi-factor authentication, you give an impressive answer. We have phishing-resistant MFA, meaning you use physical security keys instead of easily faked smartphone prompts. That level of explicit detail instantly impresses the enterprise reader and builds immense trust, regardless of the questionnaire's length.
Section 6. Winning the business.
Because all this diligent work isn't just about satisfying some IT compliance checklist. This is a core business growth strategy directly tied to closing deals. Ultimately, as the quote says, impressing your potential client usually means winning their business. When you demonstrate that you take their data security incredibly seriously, you elevate yourself from being just another simple vendor to becoming a trusted, highly secure partner.
Now, if this all still feels like a massive heavy lift, you don't have to tackle it alone. Atlant Security can act as your expert guide. They specialize in helping companies implement actual security controls and can step right in to perfectly fill out the security questionnaires you receive from your clients. And perhaps most importantly for you as a leader, they help manage internal team opposition to new policies. Getting your team to adopt new security habits is honestly often the hardest part of compliance, and Atlant brings the expertise to smooth that friction out entirely.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative question to ponder. Are your current answers simply checking boxes, or are they actively winning you business? The next time a massive spreadsheet hits your inbox, remember this mindset shift. It might just be time to revamp your approach and reach out for expert help. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.